It's time to close the trilogy that reinvented the most intrepid beauty of gaming, Lara Croft in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and this is her review. After all, what could go wrong this time?
Did you find the prophet's tomb?
Yes.
With remorse for those who killed her father, Lara is determined to destabilize and, if possible, destroy the Trinity, an organization similar to the Illuminati, with hundreds of followers all around the world and with one purpose, of governing it in secret. Lara and her friend Jonah will follow her father's indications and they will discover an excavation in a Mayan temple near Cozumel, directed by Dr. Dominguez, an old friend of previous game. Inside, they will discover the key of Chekchal, and according to an ancient prophecy, whoever possesses it along with the silver box of Ixchel will be able to cleanse and purify the world. In other words, eliminate all human race. So, to prevent it, forgetting of everything lived in the past and thinking that it was pure story, Lara takes the dagger and decides starting the search of the box, which was the worst decision she made, because by taking it, unleashed the apocalypse, moving from being the protector of the civilization to the destroyer of the whole world as we know it. This is where we begin to see the heaviness that she is about to face, by carrying her conscience, the burden of all the victims' deaths that will chart her decisions, constantly confronting it. The Trinity will intercept her and take away the dagger from her, beginning then with the climax of her story, or race against the clock to find Dominguez in the Amazon jungle of Peru, recover the dagger, find the box, and stop the end of the fucking world. A task that will take us to traverse tombs, crypts, and Inca cenotes in search for indications about the location of the silver box, the best shelter relic in the world. Wait, I'm not historian, but I'm sure that in Peru, there were Incas and not Mayas. The main campaign of the game leads you to understand what is happening at the time of the cataclysm, but if you really want to know why it happens, what is happening, its origin and reasons to several details that seem inexplicable, such as what are the Mayans doing in Peru, why does Lara hate to fail, how lost was the lost city? Well, that last one doesn't count. You will have to talk to people, confront challenges, accept secondary missions, and explore tombs, crypts, and cenotes to know these answers. The story seems captivating most of the time. It makes you feel responsible for everything that is happening and keeping very well thought of the characters, with moments of confidence, determination, or frustration towards the imminent end of the world. When you reach the final stretch, you will be able to notice some elements that force the story to extend it a couple hours more than it should. The game is not only jungle and that's all. We will know the repressed and exploited people of Kuwayaku, unaware of what the Trinity is plotting and subjugated by poverty, the lost city of Paititi, with its people confused and fearful. Each place will always have all that mystery that adventurers will intrigue us, and Lara will not hesitate to solve things in her own way. The more you get into the story, the better you will get to know Lara, her motivations and traumas, everything that drives and motivates her since childhood as we have never seen before. You will understand how, since the explorations of Hernán Cortés, the last explorers of the 17th and 18th century to present time with the Trinity, they managed to infiltrate with the purpose of using these relics and controlling humanity. Although Lara, like her father, is a scholar of all existing civilizations, we will find monoliths unintelligible inscriptions to her. In order to interpret them, it will be necessary to find codices, statues, and monuments that help us to understand more the Yucatecan Maya or the Inca Quechua, in order to access hidden rewards. It will hold you for a while, dude. If you complete the main story, which lasts from 12 to 50 hours depending on your skills, because we cannot average if you suck, compadre, you will discover that it's only 50% of the game, leaving you over 100 scattered regions in a map that will reveal you little by little areas that seem like just one more part of this vast jungle, because this game grows below the ground and on the top of a mountain. It isn't about just simple extras in the story, but also skills, materials, or tools that you can only find in these places, some of them expanding the way you can progress through the levels, reach new areas, or face our enemies in very different ways. This really enriched the game because, unlike the previous titles, we can elaborate the strategies to defeat our enemies in clever ways, not only in the Rambo style and shoot like an outrage. Go easy, muchacho! Your stealth will be essential and challenging. In case of being discovered, there will always be a way to hide yourself, wait for the tension to subside, and rethink your strategy. Whether hanging from a tree, putting on a mud mask to camouflage yourself on walls, or create weapons with simple buttons. Boom shakalaka! There are moments for each playstyle, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider addresses all of them, giving us time to collect and create, explore and solve puzzles in the main story, and leaving us tons of extra content. Fast travels in camps will allow you to return to those incomplete maps. You can leave the knife and stealth to burn cottages wholesale, depending on the situation, of course. This is great throughout your experience, because in quiet areas, the game will motivate you to explore each corner. Literally, every freaking fucking corner! And then allow you to focus on the action and drama that it's been experienced without obstacles. To make your way through the jungle, you will have access to improvements, either in your skills or your inventory. The system is nice, rewarding if you explore well, because when you do it, you accumulate experience, and over time, this will become a point of improvement for one of your skills to search for objects or materials and multiply them, solve seeking puzzles, new and better ways to kill your enemies, and also we have to tell you that some improvements can only be obtained in tombs, some are part of the main story and some are not. The brand new rappel techniques of Lara made our hands sweat when we had the thought that we wouldn't reach that really far edge, or we would die if we didn't throw the hook at the right moment just as if we were Spider-Man. A deadly but pleasant sensation for every adrenaline lover. This makes the game deeper by allowing us to go higher and lower than ever. An improvement that will give a feeling of light to all the cities and towns, since most of the time we'll be alone desecrating crypts and stealing everything that meets our eyes. We will find merchants to sell them off gold, jade, furs, plants, and we may even want to sell our souls. Definitely, that's an excellent ad, but sadly, the amount of items to buy as well as the stores are so few that leaving us more than willing to buy more weapons or special customs in the other hand. After all, who wouldn't want to make his Lara even sexier? The persecution scenes where we have to push the right button at the right moment or die trying make their appearance in a pretty visual attractive way. It's something they couldn't miss, right? Anyway, there are some actions in the physics of the game that break a bit the realism compared with other scenes. Such as in other games, it has its classical difficulty levels. However, one of its highlights is that we can set up the experience the way we want it, by making more complex puzzles, a hard exploration, or a more intense combat mechanics, all this in a completely individual way. And if you are really a badass, developers already have this under control, because once you finish the game, you will unlock the Game Plus mode, in order to challenge you in a whole new level. For streamers and speedrunners, they were given a frame that will display the time played, completed percentage, location, and many other elements that surely give a boost to all we do. For the lovers of Lara from all angles, there's an exceptional photo mode that can be activated at any moment, including the cinematic cuts. That's absolutely awesome. There was a time where Square Enix was a synonym of visual show and revolutionary graphics, but then the Fire Nation attacked them and fell on their noses. But that's an old story. Nowadays, the Crystal Dynamic graphic engine is a huge banner, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the perfect display of such power, giving us a hard time at choosing the scene to show you off, simply because the whole game looks awesome. Hey, compadre, like how much time they spent designing these scenarios? In our opinion, it's pretty cool to see the tombs and crypts that, regardless of being in the same zone and made of similar materials, they managed to grant them peculiarities that will help you to know that you are not in the same temple as before. We played in an average PS4 without FPS drop or any kind of slowdown. Well, just a few times in the final part where, without giving you any spoilers, we think that Michael Bay was involved. Se watcha freaking cool! We better don't enter in details! A long time of star loadings and some really narrow hallways where Lara can barely go through in order to dissimulate the load of scenarios, avoiding to stop the adventure. But we warn you, be careful, because if you die, not even the Grim Reaper will save you from waiting 5 to 15 seconds to turn back into action, depending on the place where you died. And if you have save files of previous titles in your profile, you will be able to use all customs that you already have, including the ones of the Rise of the Tomb Raider 20th anniversary, which make her look quite retro and polygonal badass. The game reached another level, allowing you not only to play in your language and subtitles, but also let you choose whether or not to respect the language of the natives, which is an excellent detail that increases its credibility. The atmosphere and musical experience of the game is something that stands out. The creative team employed real pre-Columbian and South American instruments in order to give realism that goes further than just the taka taka boom boom drums that we could expect to give us a native tribal feeling. But they also managed to adapt them to dark, shamanic, and even effusive and emotive atmospheres that keep up with the context. Just like Lara herself, the narrative and visual mechanics of the game have evolved and grown up since 2013 by leveling the disbalance of shooting everywhere and the creation of a lot of things that previous ones had. This is a great trilogy end-up with a lot of exploration content and deep stories that will teach you a lot more than just school teaching. What do you think about Shadow of the Tomb Raider? Tell us in the comments. So, what are you waiting for? Stop the end of the world right now. This is Beto Tirion, and remember, keep playing.